Hello everyone, this is LW Gaming and welcome to a brand new installment of Future Langrisser series. Today's installment will be talking about the next upcoming update featuring Andriole and Nemia. And anyways, this is going to be a wild one because if you're playing PvP for quite a long time, you're going to want these two to be on your team because they are pretty essential for your team when it comes to guard ignore and other things, which under certain conditions, of course. So, anyways, this installment we're gonna take a deep dive of what Andriole Nemia does, and this is gonna be brand new to the series as well. Like in this installment, I'll be covering what they have when it comes to talents and skills. I'm not gonna cover builds because I don't want this video to be like a complete copy of Kong's content. I don't want that. So I'm just gonna show you a snippet of what they do, and then have an idea of how you can build them. Once by the time when I finish explaining what they do. So anyways, let's get right into what Andriole and Lemia does. First off, let's take a look at Andriole's talent, which is Serpent King Determination. When there is no allies within one block, attack and defense increase by a specific amount depending on star level. And also once in each battle, and then also at the end of the action, assign a non-summon friendly unit to obtain the Oath buff. And also Andriole gets a command aura that will enable himself and Oath allies have their stats increased by 15% at 6 stars, and this does not apply to HP. And also when allies of Oath loyalty that kills the enemy or dies, Andriole will recover 100% HP. If Andriole have already acted this round, he will act again. When an ally unit of Oath loyalty dies, Andriole gets enemy anger and the following effect: movement is not restricted by terrain. When entering battle, unit will attack before the enemy and ignore 30% of the enemy's defense. And then Oath loyalty and enemy anger and the command effect cannot be dispelled, and they ignore immunity. So if you got buff blocked, you will still get those effects. Nevertheless, because these ones ignores immunity, so that's quite nice. And then the effect of command skill and the same command skill or whatever that's similar, they cannot be affected at the same time. The act again effect can only be triggered once per round. So yeah, you could think of this like a kind of like Kentucky in some ways, but this is actually much more busted than they kind of think of it. All right, and also if you want to take more time on how you want to like see what his talent does, you may pause the video at any time you want. That's that. So there's that. So anyways, let's take a look at his skills. His 1C skill called Purge, or I don't know. That's just translation I had in my part when it comes to. Yeah. By the way, I gotta say this kind of translation I did was not Google translation. Don't worry, I used a different kind of translation to do this kind of thing. And I also had some help from Cecil when it comes to this kind of content because he had encouraged me to cover this kind of stuff. So I think it's probably a good idea to like cover what they do, so that way you'll know whether you want them or not. So, anyways, 1C skill Purge. The passive component on this one is that the unit does not die as long as it's within 3 blocks of the ally with Oath. So, yep, that is an automatic revive if you're close enough to an ally that has an Oath on it. And the active skill on this one is like it allows you to move 3 blocks and also attack. And also, what's special about this is that this is not any typical strike move. This one allows you to move through enemies, so that is pretty nice. Buff duration will not be reduced. So when you're using this skill, your buff duration will not be reduced or burn a single round. So you don't have to worry about that. You just attack and then be done with it. And then 2C skill is his physical damage. Physical damage skill deals 1.5 times damage to one enemy. Before battle, unit loses 30% of current HP and deals damage equal to the unit's HP loss as fixed damage to a target. So yeah, kind of nasty there. Like Andriole loses 30% of his HP and then use that amount to hit the enemy as fixed damage. So yeah, that's actually pretty nasty, don't you think? And then finally we had the Rebel Invasion, which is his 3C. The passive part of the 3C is that after the end of the action, restores 15% HP to self and Oath allies. Healing effect doubles if you have the enemy anger on Andriole. So if he's angry for whatever condition, he's going to be able to heal like twice as much. So which is 30% actually. So that's actually a huge chunk of HP of recovery when it comes to the map here. So yeah, you can imagine that Andriole is going to be really strong out there. And then the attack part of 3C is physical damage, which makes sense. Deals 1.8 times damage to one enemy. Dispels 5 buffs from the target before battle, which is basically Sword Soul. But this is much more deeper than that. If there is Oath ally within 3 blocks or Andriole in enemy anger state, this attack ignores guard and also plus 20% damage dealt. If the enemy is killed this way, the cooldown reduced by 5 turns and can move 3 blocks. Otherwise, if it does not end up being a kill, you act again instead. Act again on yourself, and also this can be triggered again after 2 turns, and also this applies to both conditions, and only one of them can be triggered at a time. So if you got that act again or that cooldown reduction, and also move 3 blocks afterwards, you're gonna have to wait for 2 turns for this for any of these conditions to be procced again. So yeah, they cannot happen simultaneously or one after another. So yeah, a little rundown of what this 3C is that there's actually a lot of things going on here. So this one acts like a guard ignore as long as you meet one of the conditions, like have at least an Oath ally within 3 blocks, or if when he's angry. And then not only he does guard ignore, he does bonus damage as well. So yeah, that's actually quite nasty, don't you think? And also, if you're able to kill the enemy, that basically an automatic clock for this skill. So yeah, you get this skill back if you're able to kill someone, and then you can move 3 blocks away afterwards. But if you just didn't kill someone with this, you get act again instead. So that's actually quite amazing for him. But however, at the same time, nasty for your opponent. Like nasty to your opponent. I mean, like they'll have to deal with Andriole for like for eternity. Like literally, and if you see Andriole on the field, be prepared because he is gonna be nasty. If you're not anticipating his moves, and also and when we're doing Apex Arena, try not to have Andriole and Leon on the same team because you can imagine Leon's gonna give him a lot of cavalry buffs, which will allow him to like move through any terrain he wants without restrictions. So yeah, think of that like a warning if you're considering putting yourself in Apex. And that's just keep that in mind. So if you haven't seen Andriole, try to ban Leon as soon as possible because you do not want these two to be on the same team because they are going to be troublesome to deal with. Alright, next up, let's talk about Lemia, which is the other hero on this batch. This one is more like a support when it comes to the ocean current that she creates. Kind of similar to McLean, but hers is different, of course. So yeah, after finishing the action, she'll apply those ocean current, which is 2 blocks wide, and also within her talent, her attack is increased by 30%, and this is 6 stars only. So just keep that in mind. And also, when an ally stands in those ocean currents, the special effect will be removed and apply a random buff and restore 15% HP to that ally. But if the enemy stands in those ocean current tiles that you created, they will take 15% max HP as fixed damage, and they will have the debuff that makes them like slow down, but like terrain is treated as water for 1 turn. And also the current can be triggered again after 1 turn. When passing through mysterious ocean current, units' mobility will not be consumed by 2. So as long as she's traveling through those currents, she's going to be able to move further than she normally would. Kind of like Luna, to be precise. And then here are her skills. One seed skill, the walking of the waves. This one is a passive skill, so after you finish action, you get to choose. You can apply the walking away block buffs to 2 allies, which does not include herself, of course. And then what this does is that when passing on friendly ocean current, that it allows them to move freely and do not consume their mobility by 2. So this is like Lemia's talent, but this goes to your allies as well. So that's actually quite nice for her to have. And also, similar effects like these do not stack. So just bear that in mind. And then the 2C skill, Coral Volley, which is a physical damage, deals 1.5 times damage to one enemy. And it has a special effect of aquatic. And then when entering battle, if the enemy is in water, this attack ignores guard and stuns the target before battle. And this will last for 1 turn and can't be dispelled if unit is in the ocean current. Plus 20% damage dealt. So as long as she's in water, she'll deal more damage, and not just that, if your enemy happens to be in water terrain or anything similar to water, or considered water, they're gonna get stunned, and also they cannot be protected by tanks. So yeah, that skill is pretty nasty already, even though it's just 2C. And finally, we have 3C, which is the Ocean's Fury. The passive component on this is that when using a skill, if you're standing on a friendly mysterious ocean current, units attack range plus 2 can move 2 blocks after attacking. So this is super helpful when you use Lemia, and as long as she's in her ocean current, she's going to be able to attack further than she normally would, and also after attacking, she gets to move away, 2 blocks away. And then physical damage component is that this one deals 0.4 times damage to all enemies in a straight line, and is 5 blocks long, by the way. And apply terrain debuffs regarded as water, fixed damage increased by 30% for 2 turns, and also at the same time the ocean current will be applied to terrains where the attack hit. If you're on water or friendly ocean current, the line attack is expanded to 3 straight lines. So yeah, this AoE is pretty interesting. It has this interesting mechanic. Is that as long as Lemia is standing in the water terrain of either in water or actually in her own ocean current or anything that's friendly to her, she'll do 3 line AoE attack instead of just singular AoE line attack of 5 blocks. So yeah, this skill is pretty strong, don't you think? As long as you're staying in water, that is. So when it comes to Lemia, she prefers to fight in water. Just to keep that in mind. Alright, that looks like that section's out of the way. Let's talk about the banners, what we'll be expecting. So the first week we'll be expecting the new heroes, which is expected. Begin on January 11th all the way to February 7th of 2024. And second week we got the radar banner featuring Grenchill Lambda, and the Wish banner for Langrisser 1, 2, and 3, starting on the 18th of January all the way to 31st of January. And then on third week, we have a Destiny banner for General Layla, Florentia, and Joe and Connie, and a Wish banner for Langrisser 4 and 5. And this will begin on January 25th, all the way to February 7th, which is the end of the major update cycle. And then on the fourth week, we got Ashamar. We also have Illustrio and Toa on one Destiny banner, and the other is the classic returning Destiny banner for Liana, Luna, and Bozel, starting on February 1st all the way to February 14th. So this is a solid lineup of banners here. So what do you think? Which one are you gonna pull for when it comes to these banner lineups? So you can plan ahead and what you need for your account. So if you're missing any of these characters in Destiny banners, it's not too bad to pick them up. But unless you have something else in top priority, like new heroes in the future, which we'll talk about later on. Alright, next up, let's talk about the what events and changes to expect. This major update will be expecting Endless Voyage returning on the second week, and Friday Apex sessions on the third week. And also, the change have already got into the game already, which is the Apex hero data will now be separate from main hero data, which we already got it in advance. So this is worth noting. So just to keep that in mind, because this is taken from Langrisser. Okay, next up, let's talk about confessions and exclusives. So we got one for Tatalia, which allows her to improve with her 3C skill. So whenever you use that 3C on an enemy within 3 tiles, she'll increase her damage by 10%. And also, after using the Evil Thoughts Devour to kill the enemy, at the end of the action, she will not be targetable for 1 turn as long as her HP is above 70%. So yeah, you can tell that this gear is gonna be pretty strong for her. Next up, let's talk about Sagani's exclusive. This is the armor, which basically adds a revive mechanic to it. So yeah, after using that King Eye of Winter, you can move that Snowy Owl one more time. And also, when Sagani is within 6 tile of the owl, he gets a revive. So he cannot be killed normally. And get revived for a small amount of HP, I think. So yeah, Sagani is going to be an interesting mage because he is kind of similar to Lucretia in some ways, but not really the same. Which is that with this exclusive, he will not die normally. So yeah, as long as he has an owl in range, he will not die. For at least just once, of course. And then the new confession this time is Nymph. So if you like Nymph, you may confess her in this update. And then we got casting pattern skills up next. So the first one we got a Kirikaze. The crit rate will be increased by 10%. If crit damage is triggered when entering battle, a random debuff will be applied to target after battle ends. So yeah, Kirikaze's casting is quite okay for beginners, but I don't think you should probably cast SR characters, to be honest with you, because there are other characters in the SSR lineup does a better job, but unless you have a budget unit, Kirikaze is fine too. Next up, we got Oboro. Skill damage plus 10% when this unit is in dragon form. If the number of Dragon Valor stacks is not 4, after killing an enemy with Dragon Valor's Fury, which is his 3C, gains 1 stack of Dragon Valor. So yeah, Oboro's casting is actually going to be a nice addition to him. So even though if you're in some kind of a rush when it comes to like in a scenario where you have to have Oboro transform now, yeah, you can actually transform, and also later you get his full stacks after you kill the enemy with 3C. So that's actually quite nice to have. Next up, we got Sigma. Skill plus 10% after using Ranger's Eye. Can use Ranger's Heart when ending turn, of course. So anyways, this one unfortunately does not work with SP Sigma. So this only benefits normal Sigma. So if you think of fully casting Sigma while him being an SP, it's a waste. Don't do it, because you're not going to gain benefit from this whatsoever. And finally, we got Licorice. Int plus 5%. When using skills on allies, applies damage taken minus 15% and immunity buff to an ally in the center of the target area. Lasts for 2 turns, and this will actually... Anyways, this is actually quite okay for Licorice, but I'm not saying that it's going to be best. But I mean, honestly, imagine if Licorice's casting enables that kind of applying on the damage taken reduced on everyone that she heals. Like, how strong would that be? A lot of people are just going to bring Licorice back, but unfortunately, that's not how Zeon sees it. So, yeah, I don't really think Licorice will have any chance in the meta again, because, although it's nice that she had this now, but it's a bit of a pass. But if you really like Licorice and want a support role of any kind, this is actually not bad to cast. But for now, it's actually wiser if you save your resources for something that you need, like Oboro, for example. And finally, we have before we leave this video like this, I want to give you a reminder of upcoming major updates. Okay, so the next major update reminder is that we're going to be seeing some spending hell going on there. So Esching and Hoffman will be coming in the next major update after Andriole Nemia. And also, from that point forward, that is where the spending nightmare starts, if you're into PvP. So you can imagine how terrifying. What I mean terrifying is that when it comes to crystal spending, because, if you really want etching built, you must have Hoffman. And then this says the same for the other two major updates afterwards. So yeah, Isolda, you need Jace. If you need if you need some other character like I forgot what's the one after Isolda and Jace. I think it was Patricia. Yeah, if you need Patricia, you had to have Goon. So yeah, something like that. So, and also on top of all this, we're gonna have to deal with that new collab that will be coming soon, which is Guyver. I think Kong actually gonna like that collab because I believe he did joke about that collab in the past, but now, yeah, he couldn't believe that it's becoming a real thing. But anyways, let's just hope that we can live through all this and get our hands on Guyver because they're not gonna come back once they're gone. Anyways, hope you all find this video informative, and if this is really long, then I apologize because there's so much things we need to digest here. And do not worry, I'll timestamp everything so you can skip through whichever part you need to see. So, anyways, see y'all later. Goodbye.